The Business of Cleaning, the podcast that brings cleaning industry expertise straight to your ears.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Business of Cleaning. My name is Haley Morris, and I'm your podcast coordinator and host. Today, I have with me Stacy Tennyson from our own Janitorial Manager team, and we're going to break down what you need with your marketing mix to get started as a cleaning business, or if you're already there and looking for that extra something to make your business go a bit further. And so, Stacy, I'm going to let you tell us more about your experience.
Oh, wow. So I've always been in sales, but I have been in radio marketing and advertising. I've worked for Google for their Google Ads department. And so just really been in sales and marketing pretty much all my life.
Okay. Yeah, so when you joined our team, it's been a little bit now. We threw you kind of into the fire a little bit, but you've rocked with it. Is this your first time working with the Jan-San industry?
Actually, no. Back in the day when my son was a baby, I actually owned my own cleaning company. So have some experience on the back end of really what is needed to get yourself out there in the advertising, marketing world as far as building your business.
Okay. And then would you say as you help businesses get acclimated with JM and what we do you answer questions around marketing quite a lot, or?
Honestly, I think it's probably in almost every conversation I have, especially with new businesses or up-and-coming businesses or businesses that have only been out for a little while. I typically do let them know word of mouth is huge. Mm-hmm. That's your best seller. And then I kind of let them know where they need to be, what they should do just to get started, especially if they're brand new, because most of them don't have a business plan in mind, so they're going into things a little blind. So they're usually very appreciative of any support or information that anybody can give to them.
Okay. And then would you say that, how important do you say that this marketing mix is getting started?
Marketing is probably one of the most important things. It's probably one of the first things that a company should look at, whether it's janitorial or not. It's any business. The first thing you need to look at is your marketing and your business proposal and making sure that marketing budget is there. Because if you don't have a budget, then you're going to need to rely on free sources. And there's plenty of them out there. Mm-hmm. But, if you don't have that budget, then you can't really market to the correct target.
Right. It's a lot about control when it comes to financing your marketing. You can do a lot on social media with connecting to different people in the industry, but it's hugely untargeted. And I'm saying that coming from the marketing side right now, that control with your marketing and intent with your marketing goes a long way on where does your message go and how strong is it?
Absolutely. So with marketing for social media, I always tell people get a Facebook page for your business, get an Instagram page for your business, because you can tag your family, your friends, and then it can grow from there, because that's your best source of free marketing. Now, when it comes to the marketing budget, that's where your paid for click advertising comes in, your SEO, building up your search engine optimization. You really have to have a good website. That website, the content on the website has to be relevant to what people are going to search. If you just create a website that talks about you and not necessarily your business and what you do and things of that nature, then when people are searching for a specific type of cleaning, you're not going to be relevant and you're not going to show up. So even in that instance, you have to make sure that your web page is going to be relevant to anybody that is searching for you for specific cleaning, your type of cleaning. If you're commercial, you need to make sure commercial cleaning is on your site. If it's not there, you're not going to come up.
So I'm going to come back to getting a little more in depth about SEO here in a second, because I think it's huge and it's important. But we're talking a lot about like digital-based marketing, so that online presence, where you're at with your website and social media. But earlier you mentioned word of mouth. So how do those two tie together?
So the social media side of it, where it's free, with that, word of mouth is you build your page. You tag your family and your friends. By tagging your family and your friends, your page is going to show up on their page. And when it's on their page, their friends are going to see it, which creates a domino effect because it's going to keep moving out and out. And then as you get people liking your page, anytime you post something new, it's going to come up.
Now, I think for some people, when it comes to that side, where they're like, oh, well, I grow my business by word of mouth. I don't need to be online. It's this huge concept that the people in their local area, because a lot of time when you're running a cleaning business, you only have a certain radius, right? Even if it's a large radius, you're a certain radius that you're working within, because you have to be able to send people there. That local presence is not going to be strong enough on social media, or that they think they don't need it. What would you say to somebody who just wants to do word of mouth the old-fashioned way?
You're going to have to get out there, and you're going to have to beat feet, and you're going to have to go into the businesses. You're going to have to ask for referrals from your current customers. Those current referrals, you're still going to need them on your webpage. You're still going to need them on your social media, because how are they going to see your referrals if you don't have a presence somewhere else? So honestly, in this day and age with the smartphones, your tablets, your iPods, all of those things, you have to have a web presence in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just a Facebook page. You have to have that presence. Really, in this day and age, there's no way of getting around it.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things as somebody, if you're coming into a young entrepreneur who has a building and they're looking for a company to service it, or any other instance where you're looking to gain more clientele, they're going to probably do a Google search of you first. They're going to look you up.
Yep.
And so what happens if they don't find a website, or the website they find is clunky and dated? What is that going to tell them about your business?
It's going to let them know you're not relevant. And that all comes back to having, even on your Facebook, you have to have relevance. You have to have information, even in your posts, that talk about your business and tell people what you do, who you are, and how you're going to do it. Again, everything starts with a search. So if a company knows your name and they search you directly, well, then they're going to pull up anything that's going to be relevant to your name. So if you have cleaning in your name, if you have commercial cleaning, whatever it might be, it has to be relevant. And that's what's going to pull you to the top of that list, so that you're going to be the first choice. And that's going to happen no matter, however they search. If they search you directly, they should find your Facebook page. They should find your Instagram page. And then they can click and they can move over to your page and DM you, call you based off of your about information, whatever it might be. So if they've heard about you from someone else. But again, it all comes down to making sure keywords are right, the information that you want people to pull to your page for. There's so much that's involved with it. But again, like Google, they have a paid for click business. That's always good even if you have just a small budget, because you can post your ads at the relevant time. But those ads, they show up at the top of the page, and more often than not, the general public doesn't realize that someone's paying for that, so they click that because that's what they're looking for. So if you get that business off of one click and that click only cost you a couple dollars, then it was definitely worth the risk.
Well, and the more people who click into the ad and explore your website pushes up your natural SEO too.
Correct.
And it's going to drive, so they could see you in the ad and scroll down and you're two places down.
Yep.
That raises your authority in their eyes before they've even entered your site.
Absolutely.
So, and the other thing is too, how many people scroll past the first page anymore?
I don't think anybody, unless you're seriously searching for something specific.
Right.
And you're not finding that on the first page, you're probably thinking, why am I not finding this on the first page? Well, I'll go to the second page. But I honestly don't think many people go past that second page.
Right. And there tends to be, with anything you do, when people don't find it in a way that they expect, it tends to drop the trust. There's a huge problem with spam and scammers and things online. People are very hesitant to click into things anymore because they don't know where their information's gone, or if somebody's going to hack their computer or their account anymore. That's my big thing. I don't like to click links in direct messages or text anymore because
Right.
I don't know who's getting into my stuff now. But it's the same thing with any of your website. If you don't have something that's official, that's popping up towards the top, they're probably going to think you're spam, or you're a scam, or you're not trustworthy, or you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
And it's silly because it's not the same thing as your services, but it's a level of professionality that they expect.
Right. And trust is a huge issue on sites. So again, it always comes back to the content and where the content is coming from, how people are getting to you, what links they have to click to get to you. If you can get Google reviews, that's always a huge plus because people trust those Google reviews and they will click on those reviews and they'll read them. So if you have something that's trustworthy that relates back to your site, people are going to be more apt to go to your site. So if it's coming from a reliable source,
Right.
they're going to move there.
Right, and that's the thing too, is asking for reviews and posting them, and sometimes even posting the ones that aren't as perfect and everything, because it shows you're real.
Right.
Like people expect some kind of flaw, but overall to be like 98% good. Right.
And I think too with the reviews, they want to see if you respond to a bad review. They want to know how you're going to resolve something if it came to that. So if you're not responding to your reviews, that's also pointing out that you might not be trustworthy. What are you hiding?
Right.
Why aren't you responding to this? So I always suggest if you get a bad review, still respond to it. Find a way to resolve it. Even if it's just putting, hey, give me a call, I want to resolve this issue.
And that's a lot of what I've seen as far as when it comes to how do you handle a negative review or a mostly bad review. And the kind of accumulation of all the results I've seen on that is to address it there first, acknowledge that you've seen that, and then show that you're redirecting the conversation privately to be resolved and let the rest speak for itself. Because if you put everything on display right there under the review, it looks show horsey, it can highlight any flaws in how you resolve things. And then if you don't respond at all and you simply call up that customer and resolve it completely in private, to the public, it still looks like nothing happened. Because more than likely, they're not going to go back and handle that review for you.
Exactly. So that's one of those huge things. And I do think trust is the most common factor. If it's a trusted site, I think a lot of people when they go into websites, and this is going to go back to the website itself, is not having a secure website. Because if you don't have a secure website, a lot of people can't even visit your site because their computer security is going to say, nope, you can't go there. So that's a huge thing that I always tell people to make sure when you're doing your site that you're HTTPS so that people know the site is secure. and they're not going to be spammed, or they're not going to be harassed, or whatever it might be because of your site.
Right. Right. And nowadays, no matter what browser you're looking through, even if it lets you in, it will tell you at the top, not secure.
Exactly.
And then you're like, oh, well, what am I going to get hit with, right?
It becomes another trust issue.
Right. So kind of we're talking a lot. It sounds like a lot of work, right? I have to make sure I have a site. I have to make sure I have all this stuff on my site, reviews and all these different things. I'm running my business. I don't have time for that. What are some ways that somebody can do this as a business owner? Because they don't have to necessarily go do it all themselves, do they?
No, I mean, there are many companies out there that will build a site for you, manage the site. They will do the work for you. Is it expensive? Sometimes, yes. From my own experience, I created my own website, built it the way I wanted it. It was a free website. So do I say buy a domain? Probably that's your best bet, because that's how you're going to get it secure. But you can build it yourself. Once your site's up, it's just a matter of maybe a couple of times a week checking into it, making sure the site is still viable, the content is still good, because as the owner of the site, you get the creative control. So you can make those changes as needed. You don't have to call someone and say, hey, can you add this? Can you add that? You can actually do it yourself. And that's what I liked about it, is because I could control what happened with my site. But you can go either way, and it doesn't have to take a lot of work. Once you get things set in motion, set up, it's really just a check in on it, see how things are going. That really, I mean, yeah, the initial setting it up can be a little bit of work, but after it's up and it's going, it's just keeping it updated, making it stay fresh and relevant.
And whether you're managing it yourself or you have somebody managing it for you, there are free tools. Google offers a free tool to check your site optimization. So you can plug it in there, and it's going to target and see what you're optimized in, what you're not optimized in, and it's going to give you tips.
On the changes you should make.
Right,
Yep.
Which, as somebody who's not coming from the marketing background, or maybe doesn't have all the time to do a full audit yourself, that's going to help you really kind of target and keep yourself towards the top of a Google search.
Right. And I can tell you, if you're using Google Ads, their customer support is phenomenal. They will help you optimize your ads that you're creating. They help you do that. They will look at your website. They will tell you changes that they believe you should make. So you have more tools out there than you may not know of. It's just a matter of doing your research and figuring it out.
Well, and Google wants people's sites to be really good. They want to have them as optimized as possible, because when they're recommending sites to their consumers, the people who are making these searches, they want their recommendations to be good. So that's why they're going to offer up these free services for it benefits them in the long run. So there's a lot of free tools that you can take to dive in, help identify. And I think you and I had a conversation before, and you said it doesn't have to be a complicated website to start.
No, it just has to be relevant. It just needs to have the content for what you're trying to bring people to your site for. If you're a janitorial service, you want to have those keywords that are going to draw people to your site. If you are in construction, you're going to do it that way. It just has to be relevant to the people that you need to come to your site. You don't need people who are not searching for support for your business or looking for your business to come to you. So I may not want a construction company coming to my site unless they're looking for post-construction cleanup. Right. But they're going to search based on post-construction cleanup. So that's when those keywords and the relevance of your site comes into effect.
Right. For example, if you're cleaning medical versus, office buildings, your approach is probably going to be different. And you might be a group that has healthcare and non-healthcare on your portfolio. What you're probably going to do is have different pages, at least, that gear your SEO, Because if you so the other thing is the keyword, right? Coming back to keyword research, which is something that's come up a couple times. If you try to optimize for everything that you could be doing or everyone who might find you interesting, you could get keyword heavy really quickly. And what does that do for a business?
Well, having too many keywords, as far as the business side of it goes, it can bog you down. Because when you're paying for searches, you need to choose the most relevant words for your business, because you don't want to have to pay for a click for something that's not actually going to get someone to your site. Or it gets them to your site and they're like, oh, nope, and then they leave. Analytics really comes into play, and again, when you're utilizing Google Ads, they will help you with the analytics side of it. They will look and they'll tell you what words are getting the most action. And then you can be keyword heavy at the beginning, but then you need to focalize and find out based on your data from that's coming into your site or into your keywords, because they give you reports for that these are the ones where I'm getting the most hits, that are the most relevant, that are converting to people being on my page, not only my first page, but my second page. They're going into the page. So when you have a site that has your tab for your list of services, it would actually tell you they went from home to commercial. So you can actually see that there's relevance there versus someone who might have just came to the page and left. And based off that keyword, you may want to remove it. So keywords are important. But again, when you're first getting started, you're going to want to be keyword heavy, because you're going to want to get as much volume and people into your site. But of course, Google uses algorithms, so it's based on relevance. It's based on the words that you're using.
You want to know your audience coming in.
So when you're keyword heavy, you want to make sure that whatever keywords you're listing to bring people to your site are actually on your site, because if it's not, then there's no relevance and it's not going to move them there.
Right. And you don't want to clean everything starting off, so why would you sell that way?
Right, exactly.
Right. Kind of going in with the ads too, right? There are a lot of automations happening, not just through Google but also social media, where you can really actually let them do most of the work in your ad creation for you. Yep. And they were going to find the most optimal way for you to pay for it. They'll do your bidding on your keywords for you. Yep. So it's kind of cool because it's a little overwhelming if you've never done it before. Yep. But now the systems are designed so that you don't have to have done it before to get in there and be actually competitive.
Right. Google is one of those ones where it will tell you what the suggested bid amount should be based off of the word to get you to the top of the page. There's a lot of factors that go into it, and of course, however your person at Google helps you create it. But yes, you're absolutely right. They will give you the best keyword searches for what you're looking for. But when you're a smaller company, a lot of times you can't afford that. So you're really not worried all that much. Oh, you know what? Maybe I don't need to be at the absolute top, so I'll be down a little bit so I can get more for my money.
Right. And well, actually, and that's where this comes in. You probably don't want to go after the super big stuff right after the bat. You might say, okay, I know I'm cleaning for this region. What's the relevant language right now? And you might target a keyword that seems like, oh, well, that's too specific, but actually the businesses in your area are plugging that in a lot. Right. And so it just depends on who you want to be relevant to, and if you know your audience, yep, it helps a lot. Also, the other thing, finding out what is a conversion for you, and this is something that I've learned before, is your ad is probably not just selling for you. So what do you need that ad to do for you? Do you need it to take them to a specific page or click on a certain button? What actions do you want to create from that ad is going to go a long way in helping you format it. Because if you don't have a goal in mind, it's going to be really hard for somebody visiting it
Right.
to know what to do.
Right. Yeah, if your goal is to get someone to fill out a form, then that's your relevance.
Right.
You know, if it's getting someone to buy a product, then it's clicking on that product. And then, of course, there's cookies that'll attach to that product, and then it'll keep it in your front of mind awareness. But in our industry, it's going to be either someone clicking on and creating an appointment on your website. It could be someone making a phone call, doing a click to dial from your site.
Right.
So again, you're right. They definitely have to know going in what they want to accomplish from having a website, from having paid for marketing, paid for advertising, any of that. They have to have a business plan. I've been working with my customers and I'm like, do you have a business plan? Because that's one of the things I see the most is that they don't have a business plan. And that's when I start talking about the things that they kind of need to do to just get started.
One of the other things too, with all, like we said, it can seem like a lot before you get in there. The great thing is with a lot of these marketing concepts and things like that, whether you're doing it through Google or things like that, if you know what you want to accomplish, you can do a Google search and say, what is the best type of Facebook ad if I want people to call me? And that seems like really silly, but actually there's people who have already done this research and they put their advice right out there on the internet for you. And they want to share it because, you know, when we've got money circulating in good businesses, it pays back itself and people like to show their expertise off. So honestly, when in doubt, Google it. So, yeah. As far as coming back, we've talked a lot about like what you need to do with your online presence, specifically SEO, website, and a bit of social media to get started. Is there any advice that you would offer to our listeners if they are getting ready to make those first steps?
Outside of getting your business license and those things specifically set up, first things first, get your business out on as many social platforms as possible and let your family and friends know, because they're going to be your cheerleaders and they're going to be the ones to spread the word for you. So first and foremost, that's my advice.
Let your Facebook family know.
Yep, exactly, because they're going to be the people who are going to share your news.
All right, well, I think that's all the questions I have on my side. Did you have any questions for us or anything that you wanted to leave us with before we let off?
No, I just think that for anybody who's out there and getting situated and getting set up, you know, they need the marketing piece. It's huge. They need the software piece, whether it's us, whether it's somebody else, whatever meets their needs. But they need to have that piece as well, because you need to have that backup of keeping track of all the stuff you're doing. And, you know, a CRM, those things. You have to have a business plan. You have to have a path. So those are the things I suggest.
All right. Well, thank you, Stacy. I appreciate you joining us today. I really appreciate getting to pick your brain and dive in a little bit. As far as everybody listening, I hoped this helped open your eyes a little bit to some of the things you need to consider as you go forward and maybe got your brain moving. If you have questions, you can reach out to us. Stacy's on my team. I'd love to connect you. If you're part of the JM family, super easy to reach out to our team, ask her questions directly, or just message us on one of our many social media accounts. So thank you and have a good day.